Now at 5, a presentation at NEO aims to teach people about the impact of language and the so-called Dignity Index. Plus, we'll learn about a new Narcan vending machine in an area casino. And
we're covering that deadly school shooting about an hour and a half outside of Atlanta. I'm Dave Malkoff. We'll tell you why not only the 14-year-old suspect was in court today, but also his father.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
NEO A&M College today hosted a guest lecture trying to change how we talk to each other, especially this election season. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Tanya Bach. Timothy Shriver is the chairman of Special Olympics International, but he also helped create the Dignity Index. The index is a tool designed to help ease divisions and solve problems by analyzing how we speak to each other. The Dignity Index scores phrases on an 8-point scale from contempt to dignity, pointing out divisive language. And with election season upon us, Shriver says a tool like this has never been more useful.
The culture wars have brought a lot of division to our families, to our extended families, to our faith-based communities, to our workplaces. We're starving, I believe, as Americans, for change, for a future in which we don't have to worry about hatred and contempt all the time.
Since its creation, the Dignity Index has been used to analyze candidates' speeches, debates, and campaign ads. Shriver believes no matter the party, more dignity in what we say needs to be brought to the campaign trail. MoDOC National Health Services installed Ottawa County's first harm reduction vending machine at the Stables Casino in Miami. The vending machines will be filled with supplies like fentanyl, testing strips, Narcan, and medication disposal bags. It's part of efforts to address the opioid epidemic in Ottawa County and save lives.
Narcan saves lives and minutes count. So with this being located at a casino, that's a high traffic area. If somebody presented with a overdose, they could easily access a Narcan kit.
The resources in the harm reduction vending machine are free for the public to take. Missouri Southern today hosted its first Lion Pride luncheon of the semester. The event is a chance for supporters to hear from university officials like head football coach Atiba Bradley and head cross country coach Jamie Burnham. Some student athletes also spoke to attendees.
Yeah, we do these Lion Pride luncheons really at least 3 times a semester, so 6 over the course of a year. Just an opportunity for our fans and our Lion backers and the general public that has an interest in Missouri Southern athletics.
Attendees were able to ask questions to all the speakers about their programs. Well, Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy joins us with a first look at weather.
Yeah, and it turned out to be a fantastic Friday for us today. Temperatures cooler with that cold front that rolled through last night, and we look good outside. The humidity is low. Yeah, it's warm. It's not bad. It's 85 in Joplin, 82 in Pittsburgh, 79 Nevada, 84 in Neosho, 87 in Veneta. Parsons is sitting at 86 degrees through the evening. Slide back through the 70s, 60s. We're going to drop into the mid-50s later on tonight, which is pretty good. Not a whole bunch is going on. Pretty much clear skies outside. Have a few showers down to our south, but overall it looks pretty good as we go through the overnight hours tonight. Let's go through time. We're going to stop this in the morning hours. You can see a random sprinkle, western counties, but look at these temps. 53, 54 degrees. So the big question is, what does this mean for the weekend? We're going to look at that here in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Doug. The 14-year-old alleged shooter in Wednesday's deadly attack at a high school in Georgia and his father both appeared in court for the first time in separate hearings today. The shooting killed 4 people and left 9 others injured. Dave Malkoff reports from a memorial for the victims in Winder, Georgia.
14-year-old Colt Gray sat and listened as the judge in Winder, Georgia, went over the charges against him.
I want to make sure that you are aware that you have the right to remain silent. You don't have to say anything at all.
The teenager faces 4 counts of murder for Wednesday's shooting that killed 2 teachers and 2 students at Appalachia High School. The district attorney says his office expects to file more charges against the defendant in connection with the 9 people injured in the attack. Shortly after his son's hearing, 54-year-old Colin Gray faced charges including second-degree murder and involuntary manslaughter. CBS News has learned investigators believe he bought the AR-style rifle used in the shooting that appears to be in this video as a gift for his son. The purchase was made in December and came after both of them assured deputies in May of 2023 that the teen had not made any school shooting threats. CBS News has obtained audio of that interview.
You're saying that you didn't say anything like that, and I got to take you at your word, and I hope you're being honest with me. I'm not saying you're lying, but it's not unusual for people to lie to the police. Okay?
He's familiar with that too.
And back here at Appalachia High School, there's a second part of this story playing out where students, faculty, friends, strangers are showing up at these growing memorials to those students and teachers who died here.
We're praying for everyone and take this situation and just say love prevails.
A community trying to support one another as it grapples with a senseless tragedy. Dave Malkoff, CBS News, Winder, Georgia.
Because the alleged shooter is a juvenile, the maximum penalty he would face if convicted is life without parole. Former President Trump spent the first part of the day today off the campaign trail, attending to legal matters in New York. In one case, he chalked up a temporary win as a New York judge agreed to delay sentencing in his hush money criminal case until after the election. In another case, he listened as his attorneys appeal the $5 million judgment in a lawsuit brought by writer E. Jean Carroll. Still ahead, the latest labor market numbers.
A new jobs report points to a cooling labor market. I'm Bradley Blackburn with where jobs are being added and what it could mean for interest rates.
And next in Health Watch, how a new device is making ear tube surgery for infants faster and easier. Topping today's Health Watch, Americans are among the biggest consumers of ultra-processed foods in the world. Ultra-processed foods are items made mostly from substances extracted from foods like fats, starches, and sugars. They may also contain additives including artificial colors and flavors. A new CBS documentary shows ultra-processed foods make up more than half an adult's diet in the U.S. and 2/3 of a child's diet. CBS Reports examines why these foods have become so common in our meals and how gaps in federal regulations are failing to keep pace.
And we learned something in terms of what Congress did 50 years ago. The Congress had the guts to say to the tobacco industry, very powerful people, sorry, you can't cause hundreds of thousands of people to die every year by enticing them to smoke.
You see the food industry in some ways akin to big tobacco.
Absolutely.
Decades ago.
Absolutely. And in fact, their strategies and their tactics are akin to big tobacco.
The studies have linked eating high amounts of ultra-processed foods to health problems, from high blood pressure to heart attacks to an overall greater risk of early death. About 1 million children need ear tube surgery because of frequent ear infections and other problems every year, and about a third requiring more than one set of tubes. Typically, the procedure requires an operating room and anesthesia, but a new FDA-cleared device called the Hummingbird is making the procedure faster and easier. Kelly Worthman explains from Aurora, Colorado.
Can you climb through the rope? Go on, climb through.
Little Bryson is a big fan of the playground.
Can't sit still, typical 1.5-year-old.
And like most toddlers, he's also had a few ear infections.
Before he turned 1, he had his first ear infection, and we didn't really think much of it because he got over it really quickly. And then we started daycare in February of this year, and that is when they were just nonstop.
That meant it was time for Bryson to get ear tubes.
And the plan was for June.
Typically, ear tube procedures happen in an operating room under general anesthesia. But just before Bryson's scheduled surgery, his mom learned of a new device that wouldn't require her son to go under.
I was able to be right next to him, which was the best part, because going into the operating room, parents don't get to go back there.
Dr. Gregory Allen of Children's Hospital Colorado did Bryson's ear tube procedure using the device called the Hummingbird.
That allows us to make the hole in the eardrum and to place the tube all at one time.
It's almost like a piercing gun, he says. Using a localized anesthetic on the eardrum, the Hummingbird device allows doctors to quickly place the tubes in just a matter of minutes.
And because it's very quick and the device makes it very safe to do in young children, we can do it in the office with minimal discomfort.
The entire procedure lasted maybe 3 to 4 minutes. And as soon as he was unwrapped and in my arms, he was fine.
Since Bryson got his ear tubes earlier this summer, his mom says he's been ear infection free.
It was a great experience.
And back to loving life on the playground. Kelly Worthman, CBS News, Aurora, Colorado.
Most insurance will cover the in-office visit, but that depends, of course, on your insurance. Well, saline drops can help children battle a common cold. A new study in Austria finds saline can reduce the length of a cold in kids by 2 days. Researchers say cutting down the duration of a cold means fewer people in a household catch it, and it also helps get everyone back to school or work faster. That's a look at today's health news. A little later, a popular seafood chain is one step closer to getting back above water.
And if you loved Friday, it gets even cooler as we head into the weekend details. Well, of course, it turned out to be a great Friday for us today. Temperatures fantastic, really hard to beat. A little bit cooler than, quite a bit cooler than yesterday. Highs into the mid 80s, and we're going to continue to cool down as we step forward into the weekend. A great shot of our Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo is just outside Seneca, Missouri. 89 to 92-ish yesterday across the region. Not today. Most of us into the mid 80s, and we're going to even cool down another 5, 6, 7 degrees once again as we go into the weekend. Let's go outside right now. It's sitting at 81 in Stockton, 84 in Neosho, Veneta a little warmer, 87, 86 in Neodesha. Pittsburgh sitting at 82, but clear skies. Just a few mid and upper level clouds, 85. Northerly winds 10 to 15. Gusts are a little bit up there. It's been a little bit on the breezy side, but look at our humidity. Look at our dew points, 45 to about 50. So if we pull out our dew point tracker, it's definitely in that refreshing kind of phase, and that's where we're going to sit as we go through the next couple days. Northerly winds, so it has been a little bit breezy out there. If we look at our gust, we've had gusts kind of 20, 25 miles per hour. It is going to stay a little breezy as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight. Still those northeasterly winds, gusts near 20. And then as we go through the daytime hours tomorrow, they slowly start to taper off a little bit less once we get into the afternoon hours. And then the winds start to switch back out in the south as we go into Sunday. And what that will do for us is start a slow warming trend. All right, 4-State Friday night high school football tonight. If you're heading out to an area game, I'm sure you're going to get on the move here in the next hour or so. But kickoff 78-66 by the fourth quarter, so just fantastic high school football weather for us this evening. Pretty much clear skies, not a whole bunch going on. We look good. Any rain down to our south, parts of Arkansas, and all the way down through parts of Texas. This is where it's mainly going to stay as we go through the next several days. For us, look at the upper level flow. See a big area of high pressure right out of Canada, and this kind of ushers in a little bit cooler, a little bit more refreshing, a little bit more fall-like air mass on top of us as we go into the weekend. So let me walk you through time. By morning, look at this, 53, 54 degrees. Almost chilly for us tonight. Maybe a sprinkle in our western counties. By noon, lower 70s. Look at this tomorrow afternoon, 75 Lamar, 77 in Anderson, 78 Veneta, Yates Center, 74. That's a pretty good Saturday. Tomorrow night, even cooler. Check this out. We drop down to about 48 degrees by the time we head into Sunday morning. Hair warmer Sunday afternoon as we get right around 80 to 81 degrees. All right, tomorrow evening, if you're heading out to the Pitt State Southern game, 7 p.m., pre-gaming 77, fantastic. By kickoff, 71 down to 63 by halftime. So looking pretty good as we go through the next couple days. 78 tomorrow. Let's go 81 Sunday. Look at that low Sunday morning, 52 degrees. So that's crisp, that's chilly, 55 on Sunday night, and then 80s, slow warming trend as we go through next week.
I don't know if I've ever seen the word beautiful on there. I like it.
I didn't think it would fit, but it barely did.
Yeah.
So.
It fits beautifully.
Yes, it does.
All right, thanks, Doug. Well, coming up, what the latest jobs report shows about the future of the labor market. Topping today's Consumer Watch, the latest jobs report comes in slightly under expectations, but up from the previous month. Now, experts say all signs point to a cooling labor market that may finally be reaching some stability. Bradley Blackburn breaks down the report.
A late summer bounce is shining a little bit of sun on the jobs market. Labor Department data out Friday show the U.S. added 142,000 jobs in August, up from a revised and disappointing 89,000 in July. Construction tacked on 34,000 jobs, getting a boost from heavy and civil engineering work in the bipartisan infrastructure law. Healthcare added 31,000 jobs. Unemployment ticked down to 4.2%, the first dip since March.
The labor market is definitely in transition because we were so overheated coming out of COVID.
That shift was noticeable at this recent jobs fair.
There's almost an equal number of people looking as there was for jobs. So I'm seeing the pendulum really kind of swing back towards the middle.
You just got to keep grinding.
Editor Steve Sachs has been living off unemployment and his savings since May as he looks for work in production.
Work is a little scarce and I think it's slowly picking up, but I know I have colleagues that are still out of work and looking or just starting jobs.
This is the last jobs report before the Federal Reserve's big meeting in September, and it tees up the Fed to issue a long-awaited rates cut.
The time has come for policy to adjust.
Fed Chair Jerome Powell has indicated he's ready to act.
It is highly likely that the Federal Reserve will begin its rate cut campaign with a 0.25 percentage point. I know a lot of people are waiting and hoping to see big, huge cuts. It's just not going to happen yet.
And while wage growth is ahead of inflation right now, it doesn't make up for the price surges that started in 2022, leaving many Americans to still play catch-up. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Another sign of cooling, the number of Americans who are working part-time but would prefer full-time work rose, continuing a year-long trend. Well, the oil market is in another tailspin and gas prices are falling fast. Gas prices in the U.S. fell to a fresh 6-month low of $3.31 a gallon. AAA says prices are down 50 cents from last year, and drivers in 10 U.S. states, including Texas, Kentucky, and Kansas, are paying less than the $3 a gallon on average. Well, a federal judge has cleared Red Lobster to exit Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The judge approved the seafood restaurant chain's plan to rebound, which includes new ownership and a new CEO. Red Lobster was forced into bankruptcy earlier this year. At the time, the company cited massive debt, a carousel of CEOs, a decline in diners, and its all-you-can-eat shrimp debacle as reasons. Under the new plan, Red Lobster will be acquired by RL Investor Holdings. Final check of the forecast is next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, why the judge decided to push back the sentencing for Donald Trump's hush money case. And then on KOAM News at 6, we'll have more on the impact of language and the Dignity Index. Plus, a Missouri judge rules on the legality of Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft's summary of an abortion rights ballot question. And it's time for the first week of high school football in Kansas. We're going to break down the biggest matchups of the week. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6.
Yeah, if you're heading out to any of the high school football games this evening, it looks fantastic. We're going to be sliding back through the 70s into the 60s, eventually mid-50s later on tonight. 78 tomorrow. Look at this, 52 tomorrow night. So we get a great stretch of weather as we go through the weekend, and then a slow warming trend next week, but overall it looks pretty good.
Really couldn't ask for better Friday night football weather.
Looks great.
All right, thanks for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next, and of course we'll be right back here for KOAM News at 6, and we'll see you then. Have a great night and an even better weekend.